fellow Gilberts. Welcome to my gym in my home tonight. I just got finished with a workout, so I'm going to be talking about a subject, and that is, do you struggle to be relevant? A lot of people struggle to be relevant. I'm going to talk about that. And for those of you that do not know me, I've been involved in network marketing for 41 years. I started 28 years ago, totally broke, bankrupt, sold a junk truck to get started, put $200 into my business, went full time. When people say network marketing doesn't work, they're lying. They're liars. It works, but you got to work it. That's the thing. So if you haven't read my book, Reaching the Peak, that's on Amazon, and I share my 40-year journey in that book, the things that I did, also my 90-day plan. So I'm going to acknowledge some people. This is a little bit later Eastern time than I normally go, but I'm putting out the value. I've got people on the other side of the earth. This is morning. Good morning, Emmeline. Good to see you, Ciro. People in Asia who are waking up. It's early morning there. They're already up. Most of them are in Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. Anyway, Michael Smith, good to see you. How are you? TJ, how are you doing? Hope you're doing okay. Nice to see you. Nice to see you this evening. Give it a minute here, let it load a little more, and then I'm going to begin. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I had to go to the dentist again today. So far, I have avoided COVID, okay? So I always say I'm dodging bullets. But I'm on my product, so that should work in my behalf. Judy, good to see you. How are you? Nice to see you on the call. Hey, Reggie, what's up, Coach? I'll see you in the morning, 11 o'clock Eastern. No, I didn't forget. Not with a guy like you, man. Guy that hangs with Chuck Norris. What can I say? Does all the karate moves. Guy's unreal. And let me see who else we got. Edna, good to see you. Veronica from Arkansas. Good to see you, Veronica. I was in the sauna. So I'm going to pour a little water here so that way I have enough to hydrate my voice and to help me through this. Okay, good. So why don't we talk about this? How many of you, and for those of you that do the replay too, you can write it in your comments, struggle with being relevant? I mean, there's a lot of people that stress out over it. Movie stars stress out over it, right? Trying to be irrelevant, hoping to keep their audience, their followers, their fans. It's true in music. I mean, the Rolling Stones Every now and then they still do concerts. I mean, they might be coming out in walkers, but man, they wanting to stay relevant, man. They want to keep their music alive. So with networkers, it's sort of similar too, because they struggle with what relevancy is. And unfortunately, what they concluded is it really isn't. But they'll compare themselves to others, especially others that have a following in Facebook or Instagram and things like that. So when we think about that subject and being relevant, we're basically saying staying up to speed where people can relate to you. That's part of it. But here's the thing: how does a person become irrelevant, or let's say a team, or even a company for that matter, in network marketing? Or maybe, I guess the question also might be, does relevancy really matter? It does and it doesn't. Why don't we go for a quick definition? So I decided to do that. I decided to go for a quick definition. Dr. Edward in Jakarta, Indonesia. Nice to see you. Here's what the Oxford Dictionary had to say about relevancy. It means being the kind of person on whom others depend, whether for leadership, expertise, or emotional support. They did add to be relevant to an action or to be connected to a larger scheme, a grander plan, things like that. So those are some thoughts. But here's another question, how does one who is irrelevant reverse it? How does one who is relevant becomes irrelevant? There we go. I've been working out, I'm tired. So how does one who is relevant become irrelevant? What is that process? And we could say that would be the same for a team in network marketing. A team that was once relevant, how does it become irrelevant? Or a network marketing company that it seemed like it was all over the radar, and now you don't hear anything about them anymore. They become irrelevant. Well, here's the thing. Here's a process. Here's a process. And the process is that when the speed around a leader or a team or a company is faster than the speed within the organization or the leader, that one becomes irrelevant. That's the process. So again, to repeat that, when the speed of things happening that is in our world, the speed around a leader or an organization is faster than the change within a leader or within a team, then and then only does that person become, or that team becomes, irrelevant. And the challenge is everything is changing so fast, it's hard to keep up with it. So then it's harder to stay relevant. Right. Everything is changing so fast, right? I mean, just look at, just a year ago, February, that's the United States started taking the COVID thing seriously, right? Saying, I think it's going to be a problem. January, Fauci was saying, no, it's not going to be a problem. Not going to be a problem for the United States. February is going to be a problem. Massive changes. Things change very fast. Some teams adapted, they did well. Some were very offline dependent in their venue meetings. They did not do well. Other teams adapted, said, you know what, we're going to go virtual. We're going to do Zoom. We're going to do virtual events. They adapted very quickly. They did well. They became relevant to the situation. Teams that did not adapt were irrelevant. Companies were irrelevant that did not adapt to these changes. So those are the things. The thing is, so when we think about it, if everything's changing faster, this necessitates the need to evaluate where we are so we can stay relevant. That's the key. And I don't want to stress you out about it, because a lot of people do get stressed out about it. How do I stay relevant? and stay up to speed with things. And it's just a constant thing that some people just they just struggle with it. So here's some things, and I want you to understand this, that when it comes in your quest to be relevant, there are things that will never change. That's the comfort I want to give you right now. Matter of fact, I've built my whole entire business. I still have the same team for 22 years in network marketing. How many people have that? How many people have a team that does on some months $30 million in sales volume? Sometimes it varies, sometimes, but I'm just saying, there's not too many people that still have teams like that. And I can tell you that it's a mix of people that are online, offline. Now, when I say offline, that means they do have a Facebook page. They just don't engage with it. And I can tell you that in Asia, that prior to the pandemic, a lot of them were not heavily dependent on the internet or on social media platforms. But again, they wanted to become relevant, so what they decided to do was change. So, but again, I'm going back to other things. So some of the principles are, or let's just say some of the things that will never change, that will always remain constant, I think are the most important things. And let me give you one for example. For example, I can remember there was a time that I used a landline phone when I built my business 22 years ago. I didn't have a computer. I had a list. I had a landline phone. I used the landline phone. If some of you don't know what that is, just Google it, okay? It was these heavy devices, and you put it against your ear. I'm having fun with this. Anyway, but the thing is, that's what I did. Okay, so today, do we do that? Not a lot of us, right? Today, we have smartphones. We have apps. We might use FaceTime. We might use Zoom. Or what we're doing right now, for example. This is It's all about the principle of communication. And that's how I built my business 22 years ago. I was communicating. I was in Clubhouse, I think it was last week. And I remember a leader saying that in the downline that she has, she's never talked to anyone, ever. Never has. Okay. If you can do that form of communication, just messaging, my hat's off to you. But it's my personal belief that you don't have a strong enough relationship if you don't ever talk. And you'll have a much stronger relationship if you get together. Like, for example, Dr. Edward from Jakarta, Indonesia, was on our call just now. So I've met him many times. I've been to his home. I've been out. I've had dinner with him many times. The Grand Hyatt Hotel there in Jakarta. Many times we've had dinner. Had many great times together. So I'm just saying, I could never imagine having a relationship with him just by texting. Never talk to him. Never meet him. Really. I mean, that's the reason why I will have to say that some of the things in our business that makes our business relevant are things that never change. Now, some things change. The methodology, the tools that we use, sometimes that changes, and that's okay. We have to pay attention to what's going around, the world. What are people connecting to? What do they like to use? What forms of communication? How do they like to receive information? Where do they go? Where do they spend their time? So that's great to be relevant in those areas and pay attention to that. I mean, think about this. When we think about, tools, for example, or this principle of communication, and I want to talk about some of the areas right now that I think we need to be relevant in. And again, that would be the first one, would be the tools that you use in your business. Is that methodology, is it popular? Is it congruent with people today? that methodology, the tools that you use. So if you've, for example, when Facebook Lives came out, how long was it before you finally did one, or have you ever done one? Just like what I'm doing now, right? Are you still holding back? I'm not punishing you. I'm not, I'm just saying, but I'm saying to be relevant, or, to be congruent with what people connect to, that's a pretty powerful platform to use. So is Instagram's, besides Facebook. So to give value and connect and go where people go is something that would be, I would say, relevant to the time that we are. Now the big thing is Clubhouse, right? Clubhouse, of course. It's a different app, but that's the craze. And, and I love it. I love it because what I like about Clubhouse, different from Facebook, different from Instagram, is people are having conversations. They're talking. Is that relevant? Yes. Again, communication. They're talking. And that's what I like about Clubhouse. I mean, you can be in your pajamas or your underwear and you're on Clubhouse doing a training and nobody would know, right? I think it's pretty cool. I can't do that now. So that's the thing. But they're talking to one another. I think it's great. Now, on the other hand, a person that wants to be relevant might think, what I need to do is get as many followers as I can on Clubhouse. I know some people, they have 20, 30,000 followers. I don't have that. I don't even have 1,000, okay? You know what? I don't care. Because that's not going to make me feel relevant at all. I mean, that's like going into Facebook and how many likes and how many views and can I get blah, 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 and how does that translate into money? How does that translate into growth, to productivity in what you do as a professional networker? There's a lot of time wasted, and they're going to waste a lot of time on Clubhouse too. I mean, I see some leaders literally living on it. I mean, when I go to it, I see their names there. Oh, they're in this room, that room. I'm like, okay, that's not going to be me. I got into network marketing to have a life, not to give my life, to have a life. I want to be an example of what it's like to have a life, okay? But if I was in your downline and I saw you always on there doing that, I'm like, wow, man, you have to hustle that much. You've been in your company how many years? And you got to hustle like that? That's probably the wrong company to be in. Something wrong with that pay plan. Anyway, but okay, so again, so the tools that we use. Now the second is the culture. So do we have a culture? This is the second thing I think we need to be relevant in, and that is, do we have a culture that repels or attracts people? I mean, do we have the kind of culture that when people, when they join your Facebook group and they see the stories, they see what's going on, they say, wow, yeah, that's me. I can identify with that. Maybe they saw a story of someone that just recruited their first person and they've been in their company for a year and now they finally learned how to do it right. Oh, wow, that's great, man. I've never been able to recruit one person. That gives me hope. So again, how we welcome those people and all that. What kind of culture? So we need to be relevant in there. And the third would be your leadership. Your leadership. So a thing that we got to appreciate in this business, that it's trial and error. A lot of the things that you're going to do, and I went through that. I did everything wrong before I did everything right. But I learned through it. I learned through that process. I learned that when you do that, you fail your way to what works. You fail your way to what works, and then everyone thinks you're a genius after that, but they don't understand how many times you failed. It's like Rocky, right? He got, how hard he worked but he wasn't recognized in the movie Rocky, by the way. He wasn't recognized as a champion until he was in the ring and won, right? Yeah. So it's going to be trial and error, but learn from it. But again, hopefully your upline has a system. They've given you a clear path. on how to do the business, what tools to use, and how to onboard people. Those are areas right there that you want to stay relevant in. And keep in mind, when it comes to videos, keep them short. Keep them short. That's very important to do that. But stay in a creative state. That when it comes to being relevant, for example, when Clubhouse came out, I stayed in a creative state. I said, okay, I'm in an open state, and others start saying, hey, Clubhouse, and get in. Okay, then fine. I jumped in it, and I said, okay, this has value, and I want to be relevant as far as how people can use this to be trained, to connect with great people that they would never connect with in Facebook or Instagram. Just understand this, that dedication and desire are not enough. There's a certain amount of skills that we all have to acquire. And these are some of them that I just mentioned, right? I mean, it'd be like a farmer, for example, if he grew tomatoes and then he went out there with a wheat harvester, he would butcher all those tomatoes to pieces. He's using the wrong tool, right? So that's the thing. Just understand there's simple tools that we can use, simple videos, nice and short, get our message across. You have your Facebook groups, certain platforms that support what you do, things like that. That's going to help you grow your business and keep you relevant. Now, let's talk about just a few of these things that I mentioned. So I talked about those three. So again, let's talk about the culture. So just understand this. When it comes to your business, the importance of culture is very important. And you need to be relevant there. And it's very easy to be relevant. It just means understand this, that people are emotional creatures. Most of the people that you see that do so well in network marketing are very emotional. They have a high emotional IQ. A lot of them do. They're very, I don't know what you call, they're intuitive type of people. All of you are. All of you are. And so where do you think you need to hone in on your skills? People skills. That's right. People skills. So be sensitive to your leaders. We don't need to be so crude and short, and you can get into my secret group when you get to a certain level, a certain position. If we have a culture where we're pushing people out, it's not going to go well for us. It's not. And so make people feel welcome, and then make sure that our communication skills are right on. The other is your leadership. So just understand, it takes a lot of performance to be a leader, but it's worth it. The rewards are there. So start working on you. Even if you're not making that much money yet, maybe that's a reflection of the fact that you haven't committed to personal growth yet. So start doing that. Plug into what Tony's doing. He's doing a lot of virtual events. Tony Robbins. I think Unleash the Power Within in March is coming up. Google it. That might be a game changer for you. So I want you to understand is that when it comes to leadership and when it comes to being relevant, it's not about seeing the future. It's about seeing your present circumstances, hearing the music in those present circumstances. For example, COVID, right? When it hit, people were going, oh crap. I guarantee you Tony Robbins was going, oh crap. Because he's not doing these events that 5,000 people show up at, right? How does he stay relevant? He went virtual. What did Eric Worre do? Went virtual. What did Ray Higdon do? Went virtual. That's right. So they said, hey, how do you take this and make something great out of it? And what's really interesting is that, you hear some of these people that hate our profession, like Truth in Advertising. And, she goes before Congress and she says, people in network marketing are taking advantage of COVID. Taking advantage of the pandemic. In other words, their companies are growing, their downlines are growing, all because they're taking advantage of it. Well, excuse me, the whole entire time on the news, these politicians were saying, if you can find a way to work from home, do it. Well, what do network marketers do? They work from home. So of course, when we're going to tell people, hey, we got a way to work from home. Is that taking advantage of it? No. We're just saying you can do this. They're saying, hey, you need to do this. Hey, you take a look at what we got. It may or may not be for you. Crazy. So we look at our circumstances and we seize the opportunity. That's the thing. Whatever that is. So we can't predict the future, but we can do that. Just understand this. Being relevant is not about being in vogue or in style. You don't have to tattoo yourself from your toe to your neck. Take off your clothes. Color your hair 4 different ways just to get attention and have a following. I've seen leaders do that. It's not. And then here's the other thing too. Some leaders are very brilliant. They're very talented. They're very smart. And they're recruiting machines. They really are. They're very technical in nature. They're very skilled in that way. But it's something you can't relate to. I'd say that's in a way irrelevant because people can't relate to it. Most people that connect to network marketing and really run with it are people that follow leaders that they can relate to. Something where they don't have to become something they're not in order to be successful. So just understand, it's not about that. When we talk about relevancy, don't compare yourself to people that might shock you. I'm serious. I've seen some leaders. I mean, they literally show their tattooed butt on their Facebook, and of course they're going to have a crowd that'll follow that. It'll be the same crowd. Okay, fine. That's not my tribe. That's not my tribe. I guarantee when I look at my organization around the world, you know what? I've got 700,000. That's not them. And I'm proud of the fact that 22 years later, I still got them. Where will that crowd be? Probably not around. It won't be around a few years from now. So the thing is, understand that when it comes to your leadership, it's going to be how you develop you, take care of you. Don't say, well, I'll get around to it when I'm making money. No, you won't make that money. Understand this, impact before income. Impact before income. You have to impact yourself. If you impact yourself, then you can impact others. And if you get good at it, your income is really going to grow. So it's really a sign of your own personal growth if you do that. So if you want greater income, have greater impact on your team, on yourself, but it starts with you. That's the thing. So here's the thing, get good at Zoom calls, get good at organizing your people for virtual events. That's why I say if Tony Robbins got an event coming on, I'm gonna let my leaders know about it. Hey, this is something you ought to do. Now, I understand in Asia, that's going to be like, they're going to be up all night long till the next morning. But you know what? They do it. We had an event where they did that when Ray Higdon's event, his Rank Makers event, I gave out 100 tickets. And I said, now I'm not giving it to anybody that will not commit to staying. This was people in Asia. You got to stay up all night long, man. Now, this is a commitment. I understand that. And it's going to be for 3 days. But it's going to make a difference. And it did make a difference. So, again, Zoom calls, promote that, virtual events. Get good at challenging one another to do something, great, crazy, whatever. Have fun with it, run with it. Here's the thing. Just remember, that your effort to stay relevant sometimes, most of the things that make your success will never change. That's right. There's principles that never change. Otherwise, it's going to be so confusing. If you feel like you got to keep up on every trend out there, everything that's happening out there, you're missing the picture. Stay with these basic things that I talked about in your effort to stay relevant and get it down to that. Get it down to the tools. Make sure that the tools you use are relevant to what people connect to today. Make sure your culture's right so that they feel welcomed and valued. Make sure you're taking care of your leadership and working in that area. Always work on you. And when you show up, people will know it. They'll know that you're growing inside because it'll be in your tonality, it'll be in the words that you use, in what you say. So I hope you got some value out of this. And I'll see you on the next call. Put out some value tomorrow on my page. And thanks for connecting with me tonight. You guys are totally awesome. I love all of you. And if you got value, you could share it. And maybe your team could benefit from this. And if you haven't read my book, Reaching the Peak, it's on Amazon in English and Spanish. Anyway, everyone, have a great night. Talk to you soon.